Okay, so what we're going to do here is answer the question, what is the length of the hypotenuse of the right triangle shown in the figure? I have a right triangle and three sides are given in terms of x. So what I want to do is, I want to use an old favorite rule that everybody likes when they see right triangles, and that is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And when we use this, ladies and gentlemen, we want to take one of the sides and call it a. In this case, I'm going to call this side a, and I will call this side b, because these are the legs of the right triangle, and we'll call this side c. Having said that, what we'll do is we'll say that x squared plus x plus 7 squared is going to equal the hypotenuse, which is 3x minus 2 squared. Doing some simplification here, I get x squared plus, now you can use Windows or FOIL method to multiply this out. You would get x squared plus 14x plus 49, and that's going to equal a really big polynomial, which will be something like 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. Again, using FOIL, or we use a window method to multiply this out so we can actually see how we get 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. I'll have to get everything on one side, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, just do some simplification here. It'll be 2x squared plus 14x plus 49, and that's going to equal 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. Now, I'm going to choose to move everything to the left side here, and that means I will get 7x squared, because I'm subtracting 2x squared from both sides. I would get minus 26x, because I'll subtract 14x from both sides. And if I subtract negative 49, I will get negative 45 on this side. Since this has no greatest common factor, I'll just have to factor this out. So it turns out that this is going to factor out into 7x x. Now I want to pick numbers such that it's going to multiply to give you 45, but at the same time you're going to add up or subtract to give us 26. Let's think. I could use, let's see, factors of 45 would be 3 and 15. I could use 9 and 5, 1 and, so it's probably one of those factors there. Let's use 5 here, and let's use 9 here. I'm going to go ahead and put a negative and a positive here. This would give me negative 35, and this one would give me plus 9. So this is going to be the right factorization. If I set both of these equal to 0, and I'm setting this one equal to 0 right now, I would see that x equals 5. Now, for those of y'all that say, well, why don't you set this one equal to 0? Because if I take 7x plus 9 and I set that equal to 0, I would see that x would equal a negative 9 over 7. And, well, I can't have a negative length for a. So, it's going to have to be the positive 5 that I got for a. So, a is equal to x. So this side is equal to 5. The hypotenuse will be 3 times 5 minus 2. 3 times 5 is 15, minus 2 is 13. And this is going to be answer choice D. Okay? On the next day, we had a problem here where we had this city grid, and they wanted to tell us that the distance between the consecutive grid lines was 0.1 mile. So the distance between any two grid lines, vertically or horizontally, would be 0.1 of a mile. Which two landmarks are furthest apart? Well, here we want to measure distance. And so we could look at any of these distances here. Now, just by eyeballing it, I think we could agree that these two distances are pretty much the smaller of the 4 distances we have labeled here. These two distances seem like, wow, those are pretty much the longest. We'd have to find the distances of those. However, did anyone consider the distance between here and here, or the Opera House and the Wishing Well? If we looked at these two distances, it looks like from the museum to this house right here would have been the longest distance. So I'm going to say from the museum to the schoolhouse. And that's not even doing any math at all. That's just basically looking at it in terms of all the different ways that I could have distances. Finally, I'm given this question here, where I want to know which one of these is an equivalent expression. So if I have the log base 5 of 3, they want to know which of these is an equivalent expression. When we went over logs before, there was a thing called change of base, where you would take the log of this big number here, and you would take the log of this base number here. Now, this is one of the choices. No, it's not one of these choices up here. But an equivalent expression could also be used by using the natural log. So the natural log of 3 over the natural log of 5. Turns out that using change of base, that would be answer choice E. Again, the change of base is a rule that we learned when we did logarithms, and we haven't touched on logarithms for, I would say, a good 9 weeks, so I can understand if you totally oblivious or forgot how to do it. This is a tutorial on all of our new nouns. Hopefully you could answer the other questions, which I think are a little bit more challenging than these.